Jake, thank you for speaking to us today. It's a real pleasure to sort of hear sort of real life experiences when people come talk about their mental health as well. I think people are often surprised by who speaks out when it comes to their mental health. And I think some people might look at someone like yourself and go, oh, Jake, what issues could he have had in his life? But it's very real for very many
Yeah.
people. And, you've been through the ringer, yourself with your mental health.
Yeah, I get that a lot. And I think it is because I'm so loud and annoying. People automatically think that, oh, he can't have any troubles or he can't have gone through anything that affects his mental health. But that's the thing with mental health. It affects everyone in different ways. And just because I am quite loud and stuff, I still suffer with anxiety. I still worry. I still have panic attacks every now and again. So yeah, it is surprising who thinks that like you can't be affected just because you're loud or just because you're outgoing or just because you are on stage. I had somebody once say, well, you can't suffer with anxiety, you sing on stage. And I'm like, yeah, that's what gives me the anxiety. So yeah, it does affect everybody. And that's why I kind of wanted to jump in with Thoughtful on this campaign about connecting people, because as much as a nasty comment or somebody saying, well, you can't suffer with anxiety can actually affect you, it's the opposite when somebody kind of says something nice or sends you a nice card and stuff like that. So that's why I thought it was really important, especially on Mental Health Week, that I jumped in and did this with Thoughtful.
What is it, do you think, in our brains that means that like you get 1,000 compliments and 1,000 people who tell you you're great, and then one thing
Oh,
will cut through? Well, we seem to have that built into our brains, don't we? That we let that one negative fester in a
yeah,
way which it shouldn't, but it does.
it really does. And I think that just comes from being people pleasers. Like we all want to be people pleasers. We all want to be liked. I don't think anyone out there that can say that they want to be disliked. I've kind of got to a point now where if you don't like me, fair enough. I can't do anything about it. But you always want to be liked. So that's why when you do see a nasty comment, you focus on that, and it can be really draining. So especially for young kids at school and they're getting it in the playground or they're getting it on social media. Social media is so huge at the minute. They're getting a nasty comment at, I don't know, 14, 15 years old, and how much effect that can have on them, and then kind of go through their life with that effect. It is a really crazy time we're in at the minute with the social media and with how much trolling's going on. And I think that's down to because people are unhappy. They've been unhappy in lockdown. They need to find a way of kind of amplifying their hate that they're feeling to other people. And unfortunately, that's happening far too often. And that's why, again, it's important to kind of talk and connect with people. And if you are struggling, then talk about it rather than going online and saying hateful things to other people. There's so much things you can do. Public Health England have their Every Mind Matters campaign where you fill in a mind plan and it gives you things that you can do to help. Do you know what I mean? So there's so many things, there's so many charities you can talk to and stuff like that. But like you say, it's just a very weird time when you get 100 nice messages and you really focus on the one negative.
You've done your own sort of social media boycott and said, I'm taking a bit of time away. What was that moment for you that thought, whoa, hang on a minute, let's step away?
Yeah. Do you know the thing is with me, like I do live my life through social media, and I totally get that. I put pretty much everything on there, but it's kind of become my job in lockdown that I'm posting all day and stuff. I remember at the start of the last lockdown, I was just getting comments that it was the same comments saying like, stop trying to be relevant, stop trying to be relevant. And I was thinking, well, I don't care about relevance. I'm relevant to the people that care about me. I'm relevant to my family. I'm relevant to my friends. I'm not trying to stay relevant. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to work and I'm trying to earn money to live. And it was that comment that was just getting me. I was just thought, I couldn't get my head around the fact that some people don't think you're relevant. And I just said, right, I'm having a few days off social media. I think I did 4 or 5 days off it. And then I came back on, and it was nice to have that cleanse to kind of not worry about posting, because that can give people anxiety. I know it can. I've got a lot of friends that post a lot on their Instagram, and they get quite anxious about the fact that, oh my God, I might not have a new photo to post, so I might not have anything to talk about. So it's nice sometimes to take that break. But yeah, I do enjoy the good side of social media is you do get a lot of lovely people on there as well.
It's hard though, isn't it, growing up in a society whereby you're almost not allowed to have any downtime. You're not allowed to have any sort of peaks and troughs. You've got to be at a peak
Yeah,
the whole time. And then there's
yeah,
almost like an assumption that you're going to be at that peak as well. And if for 1 minute you're not, or you drop your game for a little bit, that suddenly
yeah,
you're irrelevant, and you just think that's not what life is like.
yeah.
And that's problematic from a worldview point of view, and it causes it caused you serious problems, many other people as well. But also, if there's a generation of people growing up with that attitude,
Yeah,
that you're either relevant or you're not relevant, so you're either in the in crowd or you're out, that's a problem for them as well, isn't it, in terms of how they'll view and understand the world in the future?
100%, 100%. Like I was saying, everybody's relevant to someone. Just because I'm not on TV every night, don't mean that I'm not relevant to my mum. Do you know what I mean? And part of my industry is you do worry a lot about work, because you go from working a lot to not working to then you're back on the TV, then you're back doing something else, and it is a worrying kind of industry to be in. And then when you get people thrown in there that you're trying to be famous or you're trying to stay relevant, it was never about the fame for me when I went on X Factor. It was about doing something that I loved. My dad, before he passed away, always used to say to me, if you find something that you love doing, you'll never work a day in your life. So I wanted to do something that I loved, and I just happened to get some amazing opportunities from it that I'd be a fool to turn down. Do you know what I mean? It's given me an amazing life, and I'm going to ride the wave until my surfboard breaks. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, definitely everybody's relevant to someone, and that's a message that should definitely be out there. Like, just because you're not relevant to Tom, Dick, and Harry, you're relevant to your family and friends, and that's really all that matters.
What would your dad say about online social media trolls?
My dad wouldn't have Instagram because he didn't have a clue about anything like that. But my dad was a bit of a bruiser, to be honest. So he'd probably tell me to do something stupid, which I can't do because I'm definitely not that kind of person. But yeah, I don't think he would have been able to get his head around it. It wasn't really big before my dad passed away. It's been 12, 13 years now. And I think social media's got massive in that time. But yeah, he was the kind of dad that would be like, any problems you face them head on. Do you know what I mean? And that's maybe why I do argue a lot with people online. That's my dad in me going, they can't say that. Say something back to him. And I feel like sometimes you can't do that because that's what they want. You kind of poke in the fire when you do that. Yeah.
As you've sort of spoken about your mental health experiences and talked about your anxiety, and we're talking about sort of making those connections, those positive connections with people, has that been a game changer for you?
Yeah,
being able to be open about it.
100%. I feel like the more I talk about it, and I talk about it on my social media as well, and it goes out to however many people, and the messages I get like, oh, it's lovely seeing somebody with a big platform talk about being anxious because we'd never have known and stuff like that. So just connecting in that way. Also, I talk to my mum a lot more openly about it now. And I can say to her, I'm having a terrible day. I feel so anxious, I can barely breathe. And she just says, calm down. Tomorrow's a new day. You'll be fine. You know how to deal with it. Go for a nice long walk or go to the gym. And usually when I do that, I feel 10 times better afterwards. It's a funny one with my girlfriend because Sophie's never suffered with any kind of anxiety or anything like that. So even talking to her and explaining kind of how I look at things or how I deal with things, that helps because it's to somebody that's never really dealt with it. So she's actually really interested to hear about it. Do you know what I mean? So definitely connecting and talking and kind of being open about it, I think, is the biggest help of any kind of mental health.
Yeah, and actually, it's great that you've got the sort of the language to be able to describe that, because I know there'll be plenty of people who will just think it's not about a feeling or a situation I'm in. This is how I am. This is the way I see the world, and that's when it becomes a problem. If people aren't educated in it, they don't understand that actually you can communicate. There are pathways you can take. There are conversations you can have that can completely change your outlook on life and put you on a much better path.
100%, 100%. Like you said, before I kind of knew what anxiety was, I just thought, why am I so out of breath? Why can't I used to describe it by my deep breath. Do you know when you take a big breath? I never, when I'm at my most anxious, I can't get that breath. And I used to say to my mum, I'm suffocating here. I can't breathe. And then when I did my research on it and stuff, and I realized that that was kind of my way of my anxiety, it became much more easy to talk about and kind of know that it will pass. It's not every day. I don't have to, even though I'm living with it and I'm living with anxiety every day, it doesn't define me. I can still go out and do exactly what I want to do, live my life exactly how I want to live my life, but just know some days might be a little bit tougher. If I know that those days are coming, when they do come, it's a lot more easy to deal with them.
For people who are going through it right now, who haven't been able to sort of communicate it in the way that you've been able to do it, Jake, what would you say to them about finding a way forward?
I would just say, try and find somebody that you can talk to that will understand, and don't put too much pressure on yourself and don't worry about it too much. Know that there is options out there. Like, you don't have to live with this in silence. There is options out there. There's people to talk to. And just because you're having a down day one day doesn't mean the next day is not going to be a brilliant day. Do you know what I mean? And that's so important to remember, because when you are at your lowest and you think that every day is going to be like that, that's when you kind of really start struggling. But if you know that you are going to come out of it and tomorrow will be a better day, it might only be 2% better. It's better than the day before. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, really communicate, stay connected with those people that you love, and it'll get easier.
Jake Quickenden, thank you for joining us on the program today. Really appreciate you speaking to us.
Legend. Thanks so much, buddy.